Howdy y'all, I'm TJ with Bear Clan Gaming. This is the first of a series of videos on electricity in 7 Days to Die. Let's get started with the basics. We will cover the wire tool, power, relays and switch, tripwire post, trigger plate 1x1, trigger plate 1x5, and the motion sensor, each with unique properties. Fundamental concepts of electricity in 7 Days to Die. First up is the tool used for electricity in 7 Days to Die. The wire tool is used to connect electrical components. In order to craft the wire tool, you need 9 forged steel, 3 mechanical parts, and access to a workbench. To use the tool, look at the electrical component, typically a power source first, and use a secondary action to add a wire to the source, and look at another part and use a secondary action to complete the connection. To remove a connection, look at the electrical device and use the primary action to remove the component's wire to its source. FYI, you cannot connect to a prefab electrical device. With the wire tool equipped, you can see some information about electrical devices, a component's power usage, and power status. So this trigger plate requires 1 watt, and it is not powered because it is grayed out. Once power is connected, the grade, number, and letter will turn yellow. We can also see the flow of power from source to its destination component via these yellow chasing lights on the wire. We can also see the aiming of objects with motion sensing capabilities like the motion sensor or shotgun/SMG turret, highlighted in yellow here. Now that we know a bit about the wire tool, let's discuss the basics of how electricity works in this world. There can only be one input connected to any device. But there can be many outputs. The maximum number of outputs is 9. And the maximum distance you can move with that wire is 9 blocks. Nine for your physical movement, plus 6 more for reaching out and touching something. Typically, a circuit is created by connecting a power source, which will be covered in great depth in another video, to an electrical device, such as a light, door, turret, or relay. When connecting sources to devices, you need to consider power use. Power, measured in watts, is what is generated by sources and used by devices. The source must generate as much power or more than is required by the item using the power. Adding more devices to the source will add to the total power needed. For example, a generator is able to produce 50 watts of power, and a light uses 5 watts. Adding more lights raises the total power needed. 3 lights uses 15 watts. If we add too many devices and exceed the maximum output, the last device attached that takes the required power over the limit will not activate, whether any devices are on or off. The required power is calculated as if everything is on. We must also consider the power usage of relays and switches when creating circuits. In our example here, I have 8 light bulbs connected to my generator. The light bulbs themselves require 40 watts, but this blade trap takes us to 60, so it will not turn on, even if I start turning light bulbs off. Speaking of relays, what are relays? Well, there are 2 kinds of relays in 7 Days to Die. The regular relay is simply a way to extend the distance a device can be from another device by providing a connection point. Wire relays require 3 forged iron and 1 electrical part. Timer relays require 3 forged iron and 7 electrical parts. The other is a timed relay, and we'll cover that one with the controls. They are also useful in organizing wires into easy to manage routes. Just remember that relays use power, 1 watt, and will add to the total power requirement for the circuit. Now that we have a basic understanding of how to connect and the requirements for electricity, how do we control this power? Well, there are 6 ways to control the flow of electricity: the timed relay, switch, tripwire post, trigger plate 1x1, trigger plate 1x5, and the motion sensor, each with unique properties. The switch is a simple on-off control that allows the player to start or stop the flow of power to any device connected. To craft a switch, you need 3 forged iron, 1 mechanical part, 1 electrical part. When connected, the switch uses 1 watt of power, but is able to control multiple watts. A simple light on the switch indicates whether the power is active or inactive, and completely off when not powered by a source. The timed relay works as a way to extend the distance a device can be from another device, but with the added feature being on during specific times of day. This can be used to allow the flow of power to a light during the night, for example. They consume 1 watt of power when used. The tripwire post triggers the flow of power to components when a player or zombie moves between the 2 connected posts. After this, the activation of the device can be instant or delayed as the player sees fit. The device being controlled can be active for a set amount of time or simply when an entity is between the 2 posts. The post does not require reset and can be triggered multiple times. Each post does require 1 watt of power. A single tripwire post requires 5 wood and 1 electrical part. The trigger plate 1x1 is a simple device that activates when an entity steps on it. The 1x1 is a single block, and there is a 1x5 version as well. 1x1 trigger plates require 15 forged iron, 3 mechanical parts, and 3 electrical parts. 1x5 trigger plates require 78 forged iron, 12 mechanical parts, and 9 electrical parts. Triggering a plate is done by either stepping on the plate or by hitting the plate with a melee attack. The plate can be placed upside down and have the same effect, allowing the plate to appear even with the ground instead of right on top of the ground. Plates that are placed on their side will trigger when brushed up against the outer edge of the plate. By interacting with the trigger plate, one can set a delay, which will allow some time after the plate is triggered for electricity to start flowing. One can also set a duration, which will keep electricity flowing for a time after the plate is no longer being triggered. Each trigger plate, either 1x1 or 1x5, requires a single watt of power to function. The motion sensor. The motion sensor can be set to target self, allies, strangers, or zombies. Motion sensors can be used as somewhat complex logic gates when building circuits. For example, one can connect a turret to the sensor, the turret set to target enemies, but the sensor is set to target the player. This way, the turret won't function unless the player is in view of the motion sensor, allowing a base to remain dormant when players are away to conserve ammunition. Also, like the auto turret, the angle of the motion sensor's field of view can be set by holding interact button and moving the view. To move the view, click on the camera preview and aim the red dot. Select E to set. Motion sensors require 5 watts of power while in use. Motion sensors require 3 forged iron, 7 electrical parts, and 1 mechanical part. An important thing to note about relays is they do not extend the activation signals between motion sensors and other sensor devices. If you chain a group of motion sensors to power a specific mechanism, any of the sensors will trigger it. Unless you put a relay or switch between the motion sensors, a relay or switch will block the signal. The relay in between 2 motion sensors and an active device at the end, the first relay activation signal activates the next relay, but because the second sensor doesn't see me, the device does not turn on. Both devices have to see me in order to turn it on. Hopefully this video has been helpful in understanding the basics of electricity in 7 Days to Die. In the next video, we'll cover the 3 types of power sources, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. To all those who are currently subscribed, thank you, I appreciate it. Until next time, laters.